Viv was a participant in one of my groups, and she had this really weird tendency. Whenever any participant was talking about their pain or sharing about their struggle with the group, she would interrupt them and she'd begin by sharing that how she's really resonating with their pain, resonating with their story. And then for the next 10 minutes, she would continue to talk about her struggle. And this had happened multiple times in the group where I saw her literally hijacking the group and taking the attention back to herself. And while she was still talking, I came in and I said that, Viv, would it be okay if I interrupt you? And she immediately had tears welled up in her eyes, and she looked at me and said yes. I took a pause and then I told her that I don't know, Viv, if you're aware of this, but I have noticed this pattern in you, that whenever any participant is talking about their issue or their struggle, you tend to come in with this story of your resonance and then you end up taking the attention back to yourself. And I recognize that in such moments, I feel quite stumped. And I have this curiosity about what's really going on for you, Viv, that you end up drawing the attention to yourself each time. And I had barely finished talking, like there wasn't even a 1 second pause, and Viv just bursted out crying. And she started engaging in this self-damnation, and she started saying that, yeah, I'm just pathetic, I just don't know how to be relational, and I know that I talk too much and I put people off in me, and I just don't know how to be with people in their pain. Like the only way I know to be with them is to talk about myself. And I am just such a shitty person. I don't know, and maybe this is the reason I don't have friends. And it was just intriguing when I noticed what was going on for me internally. While I could clearly see that Viv is in pain and she's really troubled, I was not able to connect with her. I saw myself distancing from her. And what was weird for me is that in less than 20 minutes, twice I was completely disconnected with Viv. The first time when she started talking about herself, and the second time when she was, engaging in this self-depreciating talk. And I again mustered the courage to interrupt her, and I said, Viv, I can see that you're in a lot of pain, and is it okay if I tell you something right now? Do you find it in yourself to be able to hear me? She took a pause, wiped her tears and said, yeah, go on, Anisha. And I said that, Viv, I've noticed that whenever I give you any feedback, your immediate tendency is to start, engaging in self-damnation, or you engage in this negative self-talk. And in those moments, I get completely disconnected with you and I don't know how to be with you. And I do have a hypothesis about why you do what you do. Would you be willing to explore? She nodded again. And I told her that my guess is, Viv, that when we give you this feedback about your impact on others, you probably experience intense shame. And that shame is so unbearable for you that you probably get into this self-berating conversations in order to avoid meeting your shame. And I also had this desire in that moment to explain to the group how I understand shame. And I said to the group that in my understanding, shame is this experience of one's felt sense of self completely disintegrating in the presence of the other. It is a sense of feeling absolutely unlovable to others. And you cannot experience shame in the absence of other person. Shame is always felt when you are around other people. And many a times, because it feels so scary, we tend to do something else with our shame. And then I took a pause and I looked at Viv, and she said, she first heaved a sigh of what looked like relief. And then she said that, yeah, Anisha, I can completely resonate with what you're saying. when you said what you did, I just felt a lot of shame. I felt like I've done something terrible, and you probably hate me now for my patterns. And I couldn't even look at you. And therefore, I tend to, like, whenever anybody criticizes me, I just join them in criticizing myself, and I speak so badly about myself that others just don't know how to react to me. And I said that, yeah, while I get this pattern of yours, Viv, and I'm just feeling a lot of tenderness for you, because just the way we experience shame in the presence of the others, the only way in which we can work through the shame is when we engage in a relationship with the other, and when we engage in this relational space with the other. And then it's fascinating that while this conversation started with Viv, the entire group started looking at what they tend to do with their shame. And this other participant in my group said that his tendency is that he converts shame into blame. He gets very angry whenever anybody criticizes him or gives him feedback, and he kind of breaks into a kind of a rage so that nobody comes near him, and he pushes people away. And this other participant said that, oh, my way of dealing with shame is I just crack jokes on myself. I engage in such self-depreciating humor that it just instantly lightens the environment, and I don't have to deal with that shitty feeling. Though when I'm alone, I do feel horrible about myself, but in that moment, it is just, humor is my style of saving face. And this other person shared that her style of dealing with shame was that she would immediately turn the camera outward and get into empathizing with the other person and looking at what's happening for the other person that they're giving her this feedback. And that's the way she prevented herself from sitting in the fire of shame and feeling not good about herself. And this whole conversation became a very insightful experience for each one of us, because all of us were experiencing some kind of shame in the group, and yet none of us were finding the courage to be in that relational space and really work through our shame. And I'm aware that as I'm sharing this with y'all, I'm wondering, what is it that you do when you experience shame? How do you invade your shame? Do you tend to go towards it? Do you tend to run away from it? Do you tend to withdraw and isolate yourself? Or do you choose to engage with the other?